brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement Studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking hosts, the good old boys. Now it's sippin' time.
Oh, it feels like sippin' time out here on the front porch, doesn't it, today? Welcome to this Sips episode, where everything good in life is worth discussing. I'm one of your hosts here at 2 a.m., good old boy Mike. Welcome. Hey, this is a 1-hour show that's actually mildly entertaining for about 22 minutes.
On a good day.
And I appreciate you joining us for this Sips episode. I have a whole cast of characters here to welcome back to my old Kentucky home as we discuss some really great products. Joining me here at the table is good old boy Jason.
Good to be here.
Good old gal Julieanna. And joining us over Skype are good old boy Greg.
Glad to be here.
Good old boy Brent.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And Made Man Bob.
Always good to be here.
Now, Brent and Bob are joining us from the Bourbon Mafia. Bob, why don't you take a moment and share with our audience a little bit about the Bourbon Mafia?
Well, the Bourbon Mafia is a nonprofit organization composed of high-end bourbon enthusiasts and members of the spirits and drinks industry with representation in 10 states. The group raises money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other theme events. Great group of people. They did a really nice article on us in the last issue of Bourbon Review. Take a look at it.
I like these guys. They have most of their natural teeth. So,
yeah, jar.
Well, Greg is joining us from the Bourbon Dork. It's a great blog that he's had for several years. Greg, why don't you share with our audience a little bit about the Bourbon Dork today?
Thank you, Mike. So I love whiskey. Started back in 2009, the blog is my own idiotic musings on the pursuit of all things whiskey.
Thank you for joining us today. Well, our Sips segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, and coffee. Today's show is all about whiskey, and it's from a particular state that you actually might know and love very much. Well, this is a distiller's takeover featuring Angel's Envy. We'll cover some background. Both products are widely available and some special distiller blends that we're going to get to go over today. Now, many of today's samples were graciously provided by a vast Angel's Envy enthusiast, good old boy Brent, who he won't admit exactly how many bottles he has. It's so embarrassing.
Like 3. Yeah.
It's a number in grand dispute. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I think your second wife will probably admit the right number. So, listen, we have a short list of really great products to go over for today. The first up are 3 special blends that we're going to get to go over today, and we'll talk a little bit more about these blends. One is Cigar Bar Blend, the next is the Whiskey Bar Blend, and the Bourbon Mafia Blend, and then there's a breakdown of various percentages in each of these that we'll go over as we come across each of those products. The core product that we'll be tasting around will be the Angel's Envy Rye, which is the 100 proof product. Then we're going to cover the cask, 3 different cask strengths from 3 different years. The Angel's Envy cask strength from 2013, the Angel's Envy cask strength from 2014, and then the Angel's Envy cask strength from 2015 will be all the products that we go over on this fabulous Sips episode today. So some really exciting stuff. I really love our distiller takeovers. It's a really great way to kind of get to see things, you know, from the perspective of the producer, and actually what they were aiming for, and such a broad range and expression. And so it's really kind of cool. We're going to get to do that today. I've asked the Angel's Envy enthusiasts at the head of the Angel's Envy fan club, Mr. Good Old Boy Brent, to cover the background on these products for today. Brent, take it away.
Angel's Envy was the creation of the late
Lincoln Henderson, former master distiller for Brown-Forman and inaugural member of the Bourbon Hall of Fame. Lincoln spent 40 years working on world-famous brands such as Woodford Reserve and Jack Daniels, and was one of the original pioneers of the premium bourbon and whiskey categories in the United States. After a few years of retirement, Lincoln couldn't shake the whiskey business from his blood, and having spent decades making and experimenting with bourbon, he had an idea that he wanted to pursue involving barrel finishing and hand blending whiskey. So, back in 2006, he came out of retirement and decided to create a new brand with his son Wes and grandson Kyle. And from that, Angel's Envy was born. Its name refers to the angel's share. That name is given to the bourbon lost to the evaporation during the aging process. Lincoln passed away in September of 2013, but the brand he founded has continued to flourish and expand. Angel's Envy opened up with their flagship bourbon, which is finished in used port casks, followed by Angel's Envy Cask Strength and Angel's Envy Rye. The standard Angel's Envy bourbon port cask finish starts with a bourbon aged for 4 to 6 years in American white oak barrels, which is then finished in hand-selected port casks for 3 to 6 months. The final product is hand-blended in small batch, 8 to 10 barrels, by Wes and Kyle, with the help from their team, which includes another Henderson, Kyle's brother Andrew. Angel's Envy Cask Strength was first released in 2012. During the process of making the regular Angel's Envy, Wes would come across a few barrels that were exceptionally good, and he decided to hold on to these barrels for a limited release, and the result was Angel's Envy Cask Strength. Due to the scarcity of such specially selected barrels, the Angel's Envy Cask Strength will continue to be a limited annual release. This expression has met with wide acclaim, and Paul Pecolet of Spirit Journal named Angel's Envy Cask Strength the best spirit in the world in June 2013. Angel's Envy Rye is a rye whiskey made with a 95% rye, 5% malted barley mash bill, aged a minimum of 6 years in new American charred oak barrels, then finished for up to 18 months in hand-selected Caribbean rum cask, which previously began their life as small French cognac barrels. This expression is released on a limited basis. Angel's Envy also has an innovative barrel purchase and blending program, allowing customers to purchase a barrel of their own custom blend using the 3 differently finished base bourbons, typically referred to as A, B, and C. The A is a bourbon finished with a lighter port influence. The C bourbon is the opposite, and is finished with a port influence to capture the more fruit and jam notes and sweetness. And the B bourbon is the in-between finish. Angel's Envy has been sourcing their base whiskey, but has plans to eventually switch to their own whiskey once their new distillery is completed at the corner of Main Street and Jackson in downtown Louisville. After several years of unforeseen delays in the process, the distillery construction is finally nearing completion. The fermenters, grain silos, and mash cooker have been installed, and the set still to be installed in early February, with an operational date projected for late summer 2015.
Thanks for that overview, good old boy Brent. So, Jason, I know that you and I have chatted a little bit about Angel's Envy as well.
Yeah, so as Brent mentioned, Angel's Envy Rye is sourced product from Midwest Grain Products Distillery, MGP, still commonly referred to as LDI or the old Seagram's plant. We covered a full lineup of MGP products, including Angel's Envy Rye, to show the range of quality. As Brent mentioned, Angel's Envy is in the process of distilling their own product. With the recent acquisition of the Angel's Envy brand by Bacardi, this may influence the source of the whiskey in the future, but all of these products we're tasting today are sourced from 2 different sources, MGP and then the other one, which is a Kentucky distillery, most likely Heaven Hill.
There you go. Well, thanks for the overview for both of you. Well, I drew the short stick for some reason of reading the SIPS ratings. How did that happen exactly? I'm not quite sure.
I don't know how I got that to happen, but I'm glad it did.
All right, so what's the challenge here, Jason?
Oh, California Surfer Boy.
Okay, all right.
That's what I'm going for.
I'll go for it. Here we go. Dude, we'll be tasting and discussing these whiskeys and rating them with, those suds ratings, plus our signature really are far out sounds, so here's like those ratings now. Okay, so you're like getting ready to hit the buttons, right, dude? All right, here's your Sips ratings number 1. Man, if somebody called me this, I would be really unhappy. So,
order the double cheese and sausage.
Right here, dude.
Here, dude.
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
Learning about Cuba, having some food.
Mr. Spicoli, you're on dangerous ground here. You're causing a major disturbance on my time.
I've been thinking about this, Mr. Han. If I'm here and you're here, doesn't that make it our time? Certainly there's nothing wrong with a little feast on our time.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Spicoli. It is our time. Yours, mine, and everyone else's in this room. But it is my class. Hamilton, Brent, Kornfeld, up front. Mr. Spicoli has been kind enough to bring us a snack.
hey, so we'll come right back with those Sips ratings in just one moment. Hey, welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. We have a Sips episode today. We're talking about a distillery takeover called on Angel's Envy. We were right in the middle of introducing our Sips ratings to our audience for today, and we were doing it in the best voice of
California Surfer Boy.
California Surfer Boy. All right,
I think we need to add a little more surfer to that one.
A little more surfer.
A little more surfer.
Okay, a little less Spicoli, a little more surfer.
A little more surfer.
Okay, all right. Let me see if I can pick
Channel the dude.
The dude. I can definitely do that.
Dude abides.
The dude abides, definitely. But the dude was not a surfer, so that doesn't really quite count.
That is true, but I just imagine all
He was a
surfers
bowler.
as stoners, right?
He's a stoner. He's not a surfer.
Yeah, but aren't 1 and 2 and kind of close?
Spicoli was a surfer and a stoner, so that works. That's the reason why that works.
So maybe more Spicoli.
All right, okay.
But the rug ties the room together.
Absolutely. All right, here we go. So, Sips rating number 1 is going to be like a real bummer. Somebody like pick this, for me. So it'd be like walking in the room and Mr. Ham would look at me and he'd go, Spicoli, you're number 1. Because every time I hear that, I want to, take out something out back and it's really bad. You got to give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth because you just can't really deal with it.
Water. Bring water. Bring water.
So, number 2, man, if I was like walking out on the beach and I was staring at it and it was like really bad waves. I mean, there's like no waves at all. I'd be like standing there going, dude, this is just not a good day for catching any waves at all. So, I'd be looking at my buds and I'd be going, I don't have any good whiskey out here, man. So, I'd say, number 2, nice, but like, what else do you have to work with?
Well, isn't that nice?
Slow clap.
So, like, number 3 is, if I was, like, drifting over to, like, this really, hot chick, and I was wanting to talk to her, I'm like, hey, I'm a surfer. I like stuff, and, we could, like, go out, and she'd probably look at me, and, she'd probably say, interesting, what was that again? And that would be our number 3 rating.
Interesting.
I would be interesting, but she'd be looking for somebody probably more interesting. So number 4 is, like when you're sneaking up on somebody and they got like something pretty cool. I'm not going to talk about like what kind of really cool stuff, like stuff you can't talk about all the time, but I have to say that, I just think I would be really wondering is I'd probably say it feels like a number 4 because I'd say, dude, let's keep a secret to ourselves. Like pour me another one of those, okay?
That's classified.
So, like, if it was the ultimate bomb, like me and my bros were out there, the waves are crushing it. I'm catching some good ones. I'm really, I've caught a couple of tubes, crashed out on the bottom a couple times. I'm having a really gnarly good day, not like really over the top. I'd say it's a 5 all the way because I'd say, oh my, I was unaware could anything be this really good, man.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Challenge done.
Thank God.
Man. That's all I have to say is, yeah, we're free
What was
now.
the Keanu Reeves movie where he's on his back and he's just firing the gun up in the air?
So sad on so many levels. Do not
Break, is that-
do not challenge the dude on the fly. That was unscripted, everyone, and it should have been scripted.
It was unscripted?
It was unscripted. It should have been. So, moving on to actually what we're here to do today. So I've like paired hosts off, man, to introduce all these really gnarly, Angel's Envy stuff. It's like 1 and 2 dudes are going to talk about it. So we've paired everybody off, and they're actually going to discuss each of these products, and some of us are going to kind of chime in as we go along. Listen, these first 3 products are all barrel selections with different percentages from those A, B, and C choices that Brent talked about in the overview. So I've asked for Bob to introduce the very first product that we're going to go over today, which is the Cigar Bar Blend. Bob, why don't you introduce this product to our audience?
All right, this is a blend from a local place down here in Florida. I believe they're in Fort Myers, Brent?
Yeah, they have 3 locations in Fort Myers.
This one is a blend of the 3 different components, A, B, and C. It's a 30-30-40 blend, so it's a pretty even blend of the 3 base bourbons that we discussed earlier. The color on it, I'd say it's a medium gold copper color. The nose, I'm getting hints of vanilla. I'm getting maple syrup, a little light fruit and clove. On the palate, I'm getting raisins, a little vanilla, cinnamon, pepper, light floral, a little bit of chocolate in the back. Drop of water tends to open up a little bit more and brings the bourbon notes up a little bit more and mutes the port influence a little bit. Medium finish. I gave this one a 3.
3, how about that?
Interesting.
Greg, you're going to chime in about the Cigar Bar Blend as well.
On the Cigar Bar Blend, I got a rye forward nose. Entry is herbal, slightly floral with a semi-sweet backbone. No heat was present. Mid-palate, the profile turns a little weird with some stewed fruits and a touch of spice. Finish is medium. I gave this a sips rating of 3.
Interesting.
All right. We're out of the gate with our first Angel's Envy product. Up next, we have another blend from the Whiskey Bar Blend, and Jason and Brent are going to go over this, and Brent is going to introduce this product for us.
Thanks. This is from the Whiskey Bar. It's located in Orlando on Sand Lake Road. And so this is a 60% A, 10% B, and 30% C on the blend ratio. So it's heavy on the lighter port influence base. So what we have the medium gold color. This is actually the lightest of all the ones that we're trying out today as far as the color goes. It's got the cinnamon, cloves, vanilla on the nose. The palate, you get some vanilla. And it's got a nice medium finish. I give it a sips rating of 3.
How about that?
Interesting.
Jason, you were going to share your tasting notes and ratings on this.
I'll pretty much agree. It was very light on the front end, slightly sweet. I think the finish has a medium rye spice to it, for sure. And I would give this a sips rating of a 3 also.
How about that?
Interesting.
So up next, we have the last of these custom blends that we're talking about today, and it happens to be from the Bourbon Mafia. It's the Bourbon Mafia blend. And Brent, if you'll introduce this product for us as well.
I'll be happy to. This one is a blend that we got together as the Bourbon Mafia. We met at the Haymarket Whiskey Bar up in Louisville, Kentucky, and we did our whole blend from that. We're very much on the light side because our A is 8%, our B is 66.5%, and our C blend is 25.5%. We were able to get Kyle Henderson in on this, and so it was a nice get together for all of us. It's heavy on the medium influence. The color is it's a medium gold. The nose, it's got a little bit less the cinnamon and cloves and more of a port finish to it. It really comes out a lot more with this one. I'm going to give this it's a medium finish. Nice, it's got a nice little blend to it, and give it a solid 3.
Interesting.
Bob, you wanted to chime in with your tasting notes on the Bourbon Mafia blend.
Yeah, that's it's a light, sweet caramel on the nose. Get hints of the oak. It's port forward, but not port heavy. Not nearly as sweet as some of the other blends. A little bit of spice, a little clove, and a little bit of cinnamon in the back. Medium finish. Give it a good solid 3.
Interesting.
So we had a very interesting little discussion about these, custom blends, and because they take place, quite often, and I'm curious what everybody kind of thinks about this theory. So that there's a time of sitting down and tasting all of the various variations and selecting the blend, that at the 20-minute mark, everybody is so hammered that all of a sudden the magical blend always appears after 20 minutes of going over the samples. You think that's right? You think that's crap? You think that's a plausible theory that you'd like to prove out?
Wait, you're saying alcohol can influence my decision-making skills?
It does influence your decision-making.
That's how I got married. When I say that, I don't mean me. It took alcohol.
Isn't that how Sparky had his kids over?
Yeah, that's true, yeah. There were bagpipes involved. That's all I heard. That's all right. So I'm curious, Brent and Bob, when you guys were picking out the Bourbon Mafia blend, how long did it take you guys to land on something? Days, weeks, hours, 20 minutes?
Yeah, half hour, 45 minutes.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So I do wonder if that is a reflection of palate fatigue. Or alcohol setting in as the lack of astute decision making, or as Jason likes to call it, I'm so hammered, let's make a decision and move on. I'll take the blonde on the left. We'll call it a day. So anyway, I just thought it was an interesting discussion. That would be an interesting theory, because we all get sucked into private tasting sometimes and trying to select, some barrel products. That'd be interesting. Next time, start your stopwatch when you walk in the room, and see how fast you hover around that 20-minute mark. Be an interesting follow-up.
Depends on the people who are there, too. I mean, the ones who are really serious about trying to get that, that perfect barrel or that perfect blend, they're being, they're not wolfing back large quantities. They're very meticulous about it. They're taking the time. And then you've got the other side of the coin. So, there's always going to be some by 20 minutes they're not tasting anything. And then you've got guys who are an hour later are still, working on the first sample. So.
Well, I think it was a magical night, though, at Haymarket for you guys, because out of those 3 blends, I think your blend was the best.
Well, there you go.
I knew I liked her better than you did.
An extra sample coming your way. Suck up. All right. Well, next up is going to be the core product in all of this, which is the Angel's Envy Rye. Greg is going to introduce this product for us.
All right, thank you. So the more time that passes since Angel's Envy entered the American whiskey scene, the more we see an expansion of their whiskey offerings. So what started out back in 2006 as an idea for new offerings to the American whiskey landscape has turned into a string of unique whiskeys to include second finish selections from port pipes to rum casks. So this rye selection is a second finish whiskey that started out as source whiskey, as was discussed earlier, from MGP. The whiskey was then aged in plantation XO Caribbean rum casks for approximately 18 months, and then bottled at 100 proof. And I think this offering is another hat tip to Lincoln's dream of creating unique second finish whiskeys. For the rye, I got a floral nose. Entry is clove with floral sweetness and herbal notes. The rum notes pop up mid-palate and stays to the finish, which is moderate. I do pick up a minty backbone, noting the origin of MGP distillate. It's a nice whiskey, but I still give it a sips rating of 3.
Interesting.
So, Bob, I know you wanted to chime in about Angel's Envy Rye as well.
Yeah, this is honestly of the standard Angel's Envy expressions, excluding the cask strength releases, this is my favorite. This isn't your typical rye for those looking for a more standard rye profile. Those looking for a standard rye, this may not be to their liking, but for those wanting to extend their palates, this is an excellent dram, both as a sipper and as an inner dram. It's released on a very limited basis, so it comes in bursts. You may see it on the shelf, and you may not see it for a while. So if you see it, pick it up. Color amber gold, nose brown sugar, molasses, coconut, gingerbread, cinnamon, a little bit of citrus fruit, pineapple. You pick up hints of that tropical rum from the cask. On the palate, smooth rye notes. It's very easy on the palate. Cane syrup, vanilla, dried tropical fruits and raisins, hint of banana. And you get that cognac influence on the back end from the fact that they were XO cognac barrels. Medium length finish. The rye comes forward on the finish with the molasses and the tropical fruit from the back end from the rum. It's one of my favorite drams. I give it a 4.
How about that? A very cool product indeed.
That's classified.
Well, really great product to cover right off the bat. So this is kind of an interesting moment because the very first time I tried this product, Julieanna was with me. Do you remember that?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah. So we walked into, it was a festival we happened to walk into, and I think it was the first table we hit? Yeah. I think it was, yeah. And I think it was the very first time that I had...
You were telling me about the buzz about this, and you got to try to...
I know. And it was definitely this particular expression. It was the rye over rum cask that really caught my attention. And I couldn't. There were a lot of things there that day, but I didn't shut up about this one, did I?
No, that was the one that both of us
Yeah.
were really thrilled about. I mean, the fact that it's not aged that long, but you think it's something that's been sitting forever, and it's so smooth and so beautiful.
Yep.
It tastes like breakfast.
So it's that marriage from the rum and the cognac, the twice used barrel, it gives it that character you're just not going to get from either one alone. It's really good stuff.
Well, we have another minute or two here to allow Brent to introduce the cask strength. Brent, why don't you go through and talk a little bit about the cask strength products as well as the 2013 for us?
Okay, the cask strength was first released back in 2012, and it was introduced using the Distiller's Select barrels. And they caught the whole market by storm, by the lower proof. And West continued to look into new introductions. So this is considered by many as the product offering tribute to Lincoln after his 2013 death. These barrels of the 2013 were probably selected prior to his death, and then bottled the following summer. So you get that phrase, I'll have what Lincoln is having. And that emerged because this is how the distillers picks barrels for the bottle tasting, like the barrel-proof version. This Angel's Envy, the 2013, which is 123 proof, Thanks. The Angel's Envy Cask Strength 2013. Comes out at 123 proof. It's got some nice tasting notes. It's a deep amber, red tint, coppery. The nose has a toffee, butterscotch, toasted oak, cherries, ripe peach, berry jam, vanilla, notes of banana. The palate, lots of pure notes of cherries and oak. You get the port finish a little bit on that. You get some raisins, and you get the beautiful feel with vanilla, honey, a little butter in there, some cloves, honeysuckle. The finish just glides around your palate, lingers for a few moments, but not too long to keep you from another sip. You just add a little bit of water, opens up nicely. It's warm, sweet, still tingly. I give this a solid 5 for myself.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
Jason, you were going to chime in about the 2013 cask.
So his tasting notes are pretty right on. There is definitely some cherries in there. There's definitely a lot of vanilla. My personal opinion, this one is good, but for me, it's not great. I think there is a slight off taste, in my opinion, that I think the port barrels gave it. It's just personal preference. I've definitely tasted this against many of the other cask strengths, and of them, it's not my favorite. It is still good, but it's not my favorite. So I gave this a sips rating of a 4.
That's classified.
Welcome back to Sips, Suds, and Smokes. Today's episode is a Sips episode. We're going over Angel's Envy and all the products from the distiller. We've covered a broad range of products already, and we're breaking right into the cask strength products. Interesting. So, do you think that you're arriving at that conclusion because you're tasting the other cask strengths alongside it, and you're able to say, this, I mean, of the three, you have a point of comparison, as opposed to just saying, well, this is the first time they've done this. Was it really what he was aiming for?
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with you. So, I remember when this first came out. I definitely had a bottle right when it first came out. And I remember tasting it and being like, wow, this is really interesting. And for me, interesting is not what I go for in a whiskey. So that, a lot of people look for something really unique, really different. Interesting's not my thing. There are specific things that I look for, the caramel, the sweet, the vanilla, the spice, and there are specific things. This has a very unique flavor. It almost has something that, like of a flavor you would get in a bunch of scotches with their barrel finishing, and it's just unique, and it's not a unique characteristic that I really enjoy. I'd much prefer one of his other expressions, personally.
Well, let's keep on moving, running around to another cask strength, which is the 2014 version. Bob, you're going to introduce this product to everyone.
All right, this was the third edition of the cask strength expression. It was an initial release of 6,500 bottles. It's bottled at 119.3 proof. The lower proof of this edition, I think, makes it a little bit more approachable. There's a little less of the alcohol burn associated with some of the higher ones, especially with the 2015. The color, rich walnut copper color, lots of fruit up front from the port finish, dark, sweet, dried fruits, plums, cherries, a little bit of vanilla, toffee, burnt sugary molasses, a little musty wood and clove. on the palate, big, mouth filling. It's got good viscosity, good coat to it. A little more dried cherries and currants, a little vanilla, old weather, a little bit of chocolate and toffee, and a little bit hint of the oak, and then the pepper on the finish. Good, decent long finish with the light wood and spice. I give this one a solid 4.
That's classified.
So, Julieanna's going to chime in about the 2014 cask.
I definitely like this one more than the 2013. I didn't feel the heat as much. I was able to get more out of it. And I got a lot of cherry, a lot of vanilla, kind of creme brulee-ishness. But overall, I thought that the direction they were going was a lot better, and I gave this a 4.
Huh.
And I tried with a little water, and water did not help this one. It muted the port and it muted the whiskey.
I agree.
Just leave it as is. Drink this one alone.
I agree. Well, the one thing that I noticed when I was staring at all the cask versions is the vast difference in appearance. The 2014 was very dark compared to the 2013 and the 2015. And, I really thought that was a remarkable difference in terms of appearance. And what's interesting, it didn't really translate into, a vast difference in, taste variation as well. I am totally there with Bob, though. Adding some water did not open this bad boy up. And, in fact, it actually crushed it. And I was like, wow, I absolutely killed my sample. How did that happen, So... it definitely helps. I agree. So to each his own, always, marching through, barrel-proof product. I know Mr. Barrel-Proof sitting across the table from here goes,
blasphemy.
I know. So, or I should say,
banned once again.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
you guys like that watery stuff, man.
He does. Yeah. Well, let's swing our attention around to the Angel's Envy Cask Strength 2015. I'm going to take a moment to introduce part of this product, and I'm going to let Brent chime in, as we're kind of going along here as well. So this is a product that has 7 years in the base product. It was finished off in the port barrel in 18 months. And the total amount of bottling for the cask strength was about 7,500 bottles. This came with a couple of new interesting bells and whistles, the 2015 version. So, one, it came in this super cool box. Like that really, I agree, totally. I mean, really, I would say that packaging totally makes the product. The other thing is, so this very unique, interesting experience where they actually are going on a road show with Angel's Envy, and so Wes is going around and meeting. It's like a 20 or 30, city tour where they're going around and meeting with people that bought the cask. They get this, very, unique experience to get their bottles, autographed, by Wes through this experience. So there's a little bit of some marketing shtick that I found kind of interesting around the 2015 itself. My tasting notes. Well, before I go on there, Brent, did I miss any overview of the Brent of the Brent? Did I miss any overview of the Brent? Did I miss any overview of the 2015 that you wanted to mention?
No. The one thing though is they've been doing the meet and greet with the people since 2013.
Oh, they have. So that's not a new thing.
That's not new. Okay. And I actually like the box of the 2012 and 2013 better than the last 2 years.
So I guess all the versions I have, I just didn't see the box. So I just see the bottle.
People bought this and never looked under the bottle. Yeah. And then eventually, maybe 6 months or a year later, look under the bottle and see the invitation. The golden Willy Wonka ticket.
Yeah.
And go, Wes was in my city 3 weeks ago. Damn.
Yeah. So for those people that are listening to this, in our broadcast, segment, you'll probably hear this, sometime in 2016 and have an opportunity to scoop up on, maybe one of these meet and greets with Wes. So, my tasting notes on the 2015 itself, I thought that it was a very delicate balance. It was very different than the other two cask expressions itself. The other two cast expressions to me were, I don't know, not quite what I was thinking of, which I thought it would be a bigger, better version of the rye. And I really enjoyed, I'm glad I got to taste them all. The 2015 is a vast improvement, I think, over the 13 and 14, as there's a lot of head nodding, at least here at the table, going on. I think, it's the expression of the rye in this that I really like quite a bit. It's not pure spice. There's a floral component that kind of comes over this, and I really enjoy the depth of this particular product versus some of the other ones where it was kind of there and gone in like half of a fleeting second. So it really kind of clicked, really elevated everything just because I thought it was a very good barrel expression. My sips rating for the 2015 is a 4.
That's classified.
Brent, what did you think of the Cask Strength 2015?
It's one of my favorites, that's for sure. It's in my top 5 for the year of my bourbons. But I every time I taste it, I go back to the 14 and the 15, and one day I like the toffee and the vanillas and everything that comes out in the 14 more than I like what in the taste of the 15. So it's just back and forth every time I taste them. But it's a good solid bourbon. And then for me, I know you guys are a little against them, but for me, it's always a 5.
Oh my goodness!
No, we're not against it at all. I'm glad that, we got to taste like such a wide variety of those cask strengths, through that, tasting itself. Well, listen, we have a few more minutes here to kind of talk a little bit about the flight itself and a little bit about some of our experience, with all these Angel's Envy product. And I thought that I'd maybe give each person, maybe 30 seconds to kind of go over a little bit about what they thought about each of these products. We'll start here with good old boy Jason sitting in front of me. What do you think about the flight overall?
Flight overall, I think that the direction that they're going in is incredible, and I think in the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see some incredible things. I was lucky enough to have met Lincoln and have dinner with Lincoln many times. Kind of discuss the future of Angel's Envy and the barrel finishings. And, the really good thing is that he turned it over to his son and his grandson, and they're going to really take this and run with it. And he had some plans in the works. I mean, you're going to see some really incredible things in the future. If you look on every bottle, there's different expression numbers, and I can tell you he had a lot of experiments and a lot of ideas that are going to come out. Personally, I think the product just keeps getting better and better. I think the 2015 Cask Strength is by far their best one. I think that it can hold its own against some BT antique collection and some really other high-end whiskeys. And, I mean, you're looking at this as this is a 7-year-old whiskey holding its own against the 15 and 20-year-old. So I think great things to come.
Interesting. So it's really great to kind of come around to one, opinion about the flight. Let's keep on going around the round table here. And so, Greg, I'm curious what you kind of thought about the flight itself with Angel's Envy here.
So this is only my opinion on the Angel's Envy overall, so Jason could tell me to shut up anytime. I really like the fact that they experiment with second finishes on their whiskey. We're seeing this more and more, and while some have been hit or miss, I think over time we'll see some fine-tuning of the Angel's Envy offerings.
Excellent. Thank you very much, good old boy Greg. So, Brent, I'm curious. I know you taste these products all the time, but I'm curious what you thought about the flight that we had for today.
I personally love the flight. It's a daily drinker of mine. The whole flight, matters of fact. But no, I think Lincoln,
he's retired. In case you were wondering, yeah.
I think Lincoln had something. I think he's the really one that started all this, the finishing and stuff that everybody else is jumping onto. And so I think that Angel's Envy is a little bit ahead of the curve when it comes to everybody else. So very good for me.
Yeah, excellent. Bob, what do you think about the flight overall?
I'm a huge Angels Envy fan. They're doing some great work. They're doing some really innovative products. I agree with Jason. Every year they get better. Every expression they release, they get better. The 2015 Cask I thought was stellar, but I'm like Jason. I like the kick you in the teeth, real high proof kinds. But excellent stuff. And oh, by the way, Mike, I looked up and there's a Cask Strength event in Nashville on March 1st. So
yeah,
just in case you're interested.
I am aware of that.
It's called Moto, if you know where that's at.
I know exactly where that's at.
There you go.
So, I think what is kind of interesting about, the entire flight is, I don't know, it's just kind of a very interesting moment, for when I think about the history of these products and kind of the various points in time, I've kind of encountered them from the very first point of having, that product as we walked into, a whiskey festival. And enjoying that for the first time. And that was a consumer festival. It wasn't an industry tasting. So I was tasting it, literally right alongside everybody else, at the exact same time. I'd heard whispers about it for months and months and months, but to actually, walk up and taste it, I was like, wow, a whiskey finished off in a rum cask. That's kind of new. I don't think I've had anything like that lately. I think that the interesting part is the relationship that they've had with their sourcing partners over time and how well that they have done to maintain a measure of consistency, with those products. And I really look forward to kind of the, next chapters, for Angels Envy as they kind of walk through this relationship with Bacardi and really seeing kind of, what Wes and company are going to do next. So, I really look forward to all of that.
Well, it's Angels Envy was certainly not the name that we thought it would become. We designed the whiskey first, and the whole concept of doing a really premium, super premium bourbon finished in some sort of cask other than the bourbon cask. That's what we started with, and the name actually, Angels Envy, comes from the fact that we typically in this business give up anywhere from 20%, 5 to 20% of the whiskey to the Angels. Well, we thought that that's just too much, so we decided that we're only going to give them a little bit. So thus, we have the name Angels Envy because they're envious of us. And they're a little pissed off too. Because
does that mean that you removed it from the cask as early as possible?
That's
so that
right.
They couldn't get
That's right.
that drunk up there?
Yeah, because if you go into a bourbon warehouse in the evening or late at night, you hear the Angels up there giggling and laughing because they're getting so much of this fine whiskey. Well, since we decided they weren't going to get the best part of it, they're not so happy.
Well, that is going to do it for our episode for today. I really appreciate everybody joining us. Hope you enjoyed this episode and catch all of our episodes online as well as on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, PRX, and Spreaker, our native media host. iTunes and our own Android app are the easiest ways to enjoy the show on your phone. Just search for Sips Suds Smokes on iTunes or in the Google Play Store. We love your feedback as well, and you can reach us online anytime at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every single day. Our handle on Twitter is @sipsudsmokes, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. Listen, do us a favor, and you're listening to us online, rate this episode, and we'd love to see your feedback. It's a great big help to us, and we get to see exactly what you think about me butchering probably the name of something during this episode. Dude, man, I have to say that if you're not like gonna rate us gnarly 5 on something, then I don't want to care what you think, man. All right, so I really want to thank our host for being here on this episode. Thank you, good old boy Jason, for joining us.
Good to be here.
And good old gal Julieanna, thank you for joining us. Good old boy Greg, thank you for joining us for today. And thank you, good old boy Bob, for joining us on this episode.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And good old boy Brent, thank you for joining us on this episode.
Thanks. I want to give thanks to all the angels today.
Absolutely, very much so. Well, listen, this is good old boy Mike asking you to join us once again and to keep on sipping.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.